and I'm sorry I have not posted in like a month. I'll definitely be more consistent in the last few months of the year. Hey, what's up everybody? I know I said I was going to be more consistent, and now I am going to be in the very last month of the year. But that's enough of that. So a while back I did these designs for my characters for my comic that I'm working on, and I recently looked through my sketchbook because I want to do a sketchbook tour of it soon, and I realized, oh my goodness, this might be the worst thing I've ever made. That's an exaggeration, obviously. I don't think it's the worst thing I've ever made. There was, much worse, if you guys remember the tour of my second sketchbook. But I was writing the story the other day and I realized I really need to do finalized designs of each of the characters. That way I have references for colors and just general outfit design so that I know what I'm working with. Especially since it's going to be a comic. So with that being said, let's get into the final designs of these characters. For now. Now that I have more concrete ideas about the characters' personalities and everything, I want to talk a little bit more about them. And I've also grown a subscriber since I started posting about them, so I also want to just reiterate them a little bit for people who might not know about them. So our main character is named Marcy Madison. She's a 16-year-old girl who just finished her sophomore year of high school. She's extremely smart, she has all A's in school. She's also very extroverted, she has a really easy time making friends. I did one of those personality MBTI tests for her, and she's an ENTJ-T, which is just called Commander. I don't really know what MBTIs are that well, but yeah, I don't know if this is relevant, but I found it interesting. But yeah, she is really smart, and she could technically do anything she wants when she inevitably gets a job, but she really doesn't know what she wants, which kind of makes her nervous as she enters her junior year of high school. Marcy's civilian outfit really hasn't changed that much. I just made it look a lot better than whatever was going on here. And to be honest, most people's civilian outfits don't. Ophelia is the only one who really gets like a really different outfit, but even then the color scheme's kind of just generally the same. But back to Marcy. I wanted to stick with something I think is called like a light academia aesthetic. I don't know if that's what this is. I don't really know how to separate all these different aesthetics at this point, but yeah, that's kind of what she looks like. She wears a lot of yellows and warm colors. Despite being very smart, she is very bad at athletic things, which does end up being an important plot point. I mean, this is like a magical girl superhero story. She kind of needs to be a little athletic, but one of the many things that pisses Corri off is just how bad she is at anything that requires some athletic skill. But she is very determined, so she pushes through, of course. We wouldn't really have a story if she just gave up. So this is Marcy's original civilian outfit, and this is her new one. I really hope you enjoyed. I hope you agree with me that it looks better as well. Up next, we have Marcy's magical girl superhero outfit. I really don't know what to call this story because I feel like magical girl doesn't really fit the description of the story, considering the other quote-unquote magical girl is like a 30-year-old man. The way Marcy's power works, and I guess pretty much any of the powers, is both her and Corri have a piece of jewelry. Marcy's is a star choker, so star is kind of her whole thing. And the star gives her the element of light, as well as a bow and arrow, which is her weapon. I didn't mention this in the last segment because it plays more importance here, at least for her character design, but Marcy is mixed. She's half white and half Thai. And so I wanted her magical girl outfit, I guess. I still don't know what to call it. I wanted her outfit to kind of reflect some of that. So I used these pictures as inspiration. It's a sawalai, which from what I've researched is usually a formal dress, which is why I chose it because I feel like a lot of magical girls tend to wear more formal things even if it's not the most convenient thing to wear. I did adjust her skirt so that it was a little different. So it's technically not a sawalai, but it is very heavily inspired by one. The people who watched the original video where I designed Marcy's magical girl outfit probably remember me saying that I wish there was more yellow in her design instead of mostly blue, and I definitely leaned into that with this design. I had a bit of trouble balancing the colors, but I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I hope you are too. The next character we have is Marcy's friend Dante, who is the exact opposite of her in very many ways. He is introverted, and he's not the most intelligent person alive, but he is very athletic and good at sports. He plays soccer or football, depending on where you live. I'm gonna go ahead and get this out of the way. There is no romance in this story between Marcy and Dante or anyone else, unless those people have already been married like Marcy's parents. When the comic comes out, if you want to ship them, that's fine, but that's not gonna be any part of the story, really. But anyways, Dante's MBTI is ISFP-A, which is Adventurer. Marcy and Dante are both friends with Ophelia, but Dante is definitely a little closer to her than she is. Dante didn't have a mom, he only has his dad, and he and Marcy met Ophelia when she was about 25, so Dante kind of hangs out with her a lot as kind of a substitute, I guess. Ophelia is more like an older sister than a mom, but still. Ophelia went to Dante's soccer games and some school events when his dad couldn't. His dad has to work a lot to keep them stable, I guess. Marcy's parents are definitely richer than Dante's, or Dante's dad. Yeah, his mom's kind of out of the picture just entirely. That's not really a big thing in the story, but it kind of gets brought up a little bit. Marcy's dad and Dante's dad were college friends, so they kind of hang out a lot, and their families are basically the same. Dante's practically Marcy's brother at this point. Like, he and his dad go to holidays at the Madison's house, and they would watch Dante when he was a kid and his dad couldn't pick him up from school and everything. I know Dante's design hasn't really changed, but it didn't really need to be changed that much. I just really did not like that drawing that I made of him the first time. I think digital art may be the thing I'm best at. But yeah, I hope you like Dante's design, even though it hasn't changed very much. Now we finally get to my favorite character, Corri. Corri isn't his full name, but I'm not gonna say his full name. Not because it's like a plot twist or something mysterious, I'm just gonna be really annoying about it. Corri is kind of a hermit. He lives by himself off the grid in the woods. Mostly because he has one of the magic jewelry. I don't really want to say the name of them, I do have a name for them though. And he is hiding from somebody, but we won't get into that right now. And I wouldn't really call it hiding. He goes out in public, he just looks kind of homeless when he does. So basically he's just like me. Corri is very serious most of the time. He's also kind of sarcastic. He does not like other people at all. When I took the MBTI for him, he got ISTPA, which is called Virtuoso, which I did not think was going to fit him at all. But then I looked at the strengths and weaknesses, and the strengths said independent and grounded, and the weaknesses were unapologetic, insensitive, private and reserved, and independent again. So yeah, I think it does kind of fit him a little bit. Corri doesn't really like Marcy at first, just because of how energetic she is constantly, but he gets used to her eventually. Dante, however, has a constant beef with Corri. They are arguing every single time they're on the page together, basically. It's probably a good thing Dante doesn't have any of the jewelry, because if he did, Corri and him probably would have killed each other in the first few chapters. They learn to get along, obviously, but the beef never really goes away fully. One of them will just be talking and the other one will catch a stray mid-sentence. Corri doesn't really have a very different design. The only difference is that I forgot to draw his ever-present eye bags. But I did manage to fix whatever was going on with the length between his eyes here. So yeah, I hope you like this character reference. If you guys watched the video where I designed Corri for the first time, you know that I had a little bit of trouble with his superhero costume. And by a little, I mean a lot. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know if it was that I had limited colors, that I just had no idea what I was doing, but yeah. This time around, I went in much more prepared. I did a sketch of his costume beforehand, when I was supposed to be paying attention in English class. I did keep those green armor, leaf-looking shoulder things. I don't know what the metal that you put on your shoulder, like a knight. I don't know what that's called, but that stuff. I kept that, but pretty much everything else is different. I did finalize the design that's going to be on his bangles. Did I mention that? Yeah, his bangles are where he gets his power. Or, he only has one bangle. The other one is fake, but he wears it so that it looks more matching. This doesn't sound important, but I promise you it's going to be. Either directly or indirectly. Corri is the last living hero. At least one that holds one of the jewelry pieces. I say he's the last living one because there are a ton of dead ones, but that's a whole nother video that I might make designing some of them, because they are part of the story, especially once we start getting into Corri's backstory and how he became who he is. I'm not really gonna go into it, but the transition from Corri being like probably one of the peppiest people alive to looking like your homeless, twice divorced uncle is kind of insane. And as I'm saying this, I'm kind of realizing that I probably need to go back and make his civilian design look a little rougher, because he looks pretty normal. Maybe I need to make his beard scruffier or something. One thing I had a lot of trouble with during all these pieces, but especially this one with Corri, was balancing the colors. However, I think I managed to do it without making his outfit too detailed, so it's not going to be a struggle to draw during the comic. So I hope you like his new superhero costume, because I definitely like this one better. Our last character of the day is Ophelia. Ophelia is Marcy and Dante's friend, kind of. More like an older sister. She hangs out at the same cafe that they go to all the time, which means she usually ends up paying when they're short on money, which she doesn't mind too much. She's a really relaxed person, but she is an extrovert. She's fine with meeting new people. Because her job doesn't require her to go inside an office building, it's kind of she can work wherever she wants to. So she kind of spends her days roaming the city, finding places she can sit down and just use her laptop to work. Though she enjoys being around people a lot. Her personality type is ENFJ-T, protagonist, which I think is kind of ironic because she shows up like the least. Ophelia and Corri never really interact, but if they did, I would say they would not like each other at all. They would have opposing personalities, especially since Dante is kind of Ophelia's favorite. I will say I think I had the most fun designing Ophelia's regular outfit, because she dresses kind of artsy and she wears a lot of jewelry. I know I said hers was the most different, but now that I'm looking at it as I'm recording this, I really don't think it's terribly different. I mean, the colors are generally the same, her hairstyle is the same. Okay, I pulled up her old drawing, it is definitely different. Even the colors aren't really that similar, honestly. Since Ophelia is really the last character I need a final design for right now, most likely what's going to happen is I'll do a couple of YouTube shorts where I design some other side characters, and I'll definitely be practicing architecture, drawing, and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope you like Ophelia's new outfit. She definitely looks like a really tired college student, but that is kind of what I was going for considering she is about 25. No, wait, she's 22. I mixed her and Corri up. My bad. So I guess I would make her a young adult, not a college student, unless you took a gap year or something, but anyway. But here's her final design. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you really like their designs. I know I definitely like these better than the old ones. Please don't go look at those. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye!